Hi, this is Brad Kittel with Tiny Texas Houses and Pure Salvage Living. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little intro and a lesson on how we build our floors. It's very unusual. You'll see us how we start out on the setting up our piers, and then we cut our beams out. And the beams I use actually are three beams. I use a center beam and two outside beams that are all single piece, full length. It is possible to splice them, but at the moment, as long as I can get them, I like to use them full. You notice how we notch the ends, the old-fashioned overlap joint. And what this allows us to do is to lap over, get a half a board on top and bottom, and then we come back and we go through the top of it with a lag bolt. Besides using a construction adhesive at the joint, construction adhesive is a little more flexible in this case since you'll get flexing. As we go along here, you'll see us actually squaring things up, getting them lined up. Sometimes that can be a real problem with beams. In this case, it went fairly easily, but we've actually been known to actually strap them and do other things. Here we're cutting the ledgers that we're going to put onto the inside, and he's actually pre-drilling all the holes. The reason for that is it's a whole lot easier to get them accurate when you're drilling from the top. In the meantime, we're watching on the side over here going on a little bit of measuring out in advance to line up where you're going to be putting your ledgers. And to start off with, we screw them and we nail them. What you saw was some glue. We glue them. And in this case, we're using a tight bond. It's an adhesive that pretty much makes wood bond as if it's one piece. And it's not flexible, but this will flex together. Both of these are longleaf pine. On the ledgers, I like to use a really tight grain longleaf pine with very few knots, if any, because these are going to support all the 2x6s that are going to be used as the floor joists. The reason for this is we compress our floor structure down to 7 inches, but by doing it the way we do, you'll notice that it actually makes it much stronger. Notice as he's marking all these lines how tight and beautiful this grain is. These were longleaf pine trees in this particular instance that were used for the beams, and you'll notice as much as 100 years of growth lines across this length of the widths of the beam, in some cases even more. Right here you see Joe going in and cutting the notches on the end of the 2x6s. The purpose of this is to set them into the ledgers that we've stuck down the sides of the lengths of these beams. You can see we like the old-fashioned way of doing things, and a chisel, nothing like a good chisel. Here we're knocking the beams and the joists into place. You'll see he's got them all pre-marked. That's what Terry was doing when you saw him walking down the beams, was pre-marking everything. And you can see we're actually using clamps and compressing the beams as we go and lock everything down. So we cut them in. This is a little trick Terry had that was very nice, and that's to go ahead and put your nails in ahead of time to hold your joists into place when you set them. Gives them a little tension that way on one end, so you can set them and hold them and not have them move around. Then we come in with the blocking after that, and of course the blocking is to keep it from flexing and having your floor joist slip sideways. In our case, they're only about 5.5 foot long, so that's not a big problem. And then finally, we want to make sure before we put any flooring on it that it's nice and square. That can be done a number of ways, but obviously you measure from corner to corner, and if you get exactly the same measurement from corner to corner on one side and corner to corner on the other side, then you're square. If it's not exactly the right measurement, then you got to torque it until you get it. Here you see us putting down the shiplap. We put it down diagonally. We use a floor adhesive, again, a construction adhesive that's flexible, and put it down diagonally so that you'll get sort of like a wind bracing or a strength, basically a cross strength. We shoot it down with a galvanized ring shank and also using staples and with that glue. You'll see here as it goes on to the ending, you'll see him cutting off the edges and dropping the excess shiplap off. And this allows you to go ahead and square up and prepare for the flooring that's going to come up on top of it. This is important to know what you're going to be running, whether it's going to be pine, oak, wide plank, narrow plank, and all different ways of prepping the floors and making sure you can maybe mix and match the different types of materials you might use on the floor. Here you see us putting down some 3¼ inch. In this case, one example that we'll show you in the next videos that you'll be getting, which will show you how to lay the floors, how to then sand the floors. This is using drum sanders to turn what looks like a variety of varnish and paint and natural floor into a beautiful floor when it's all done. In this particular instance, it's a 3¼ inch longleaf pine. This is an old drum sander. I love using the old equipment. This is a good DU8. This is Clark made this. It's been around for 40 years. They're absolute workhorses. If you can find one for $200, $300, $400, $500. This is a $2,000 machine normally, and they're just around all over the place. Then you follow up with the buffing, and all this will be shown in the next videos. We actually even go on to show you how to do tongue oiling and to finish it off. In this particular instance, Joe is giving you start seeing the shine coming out of it after we've been buffing it and sanding it, and you will ultimately see what it looks like when it's finished. But I'm not going to give that to you right now. We're just going to let you know that this is how the process works. And there goes the sanding disc. You can see it flying off right about that time. And we'll show you how to keep that from happening all the time too. Please get back with us and know that this is just the beginning. We want to be able to teach you how to do all of this, how to install the flooring, how to be able to then build the walls, install the windows, the doors, and everything else it takes to build your own tiny house. Thanks you for joining us. There's lots more in store. Have a great day.